Disclaimer. Do not send any type of harassment or negativity towards the creators that I review. This includes hateful comments, mass paying the creators, dislike spamming, and toxic videos about them. This video is for entertainment purposes, and even then, what I say could be wrong, so please take my videos with a grain of salt. Enjoy! You know how familiar this is. This time we're going to be reviewing another bad paleontology video, so grab out your bingo cards because today is paleontology bingo time.
When it comes to the biggest creature to ever roam or swim the earth, the answer really depends on how you define biggest.
In correct terms, it's determined by mass and not length or height or anything else, just mass.
If we're talking about pure weight, the crown goes to a newly discovered beast, Parasitus colossus.
Man, this video already has no bounds on how fast they can commit a mistake in terms of paleontology. At most, it would have been around like 40 tons, because the 340-ton estimate is just completely outdated. So grab out your bingo card and circle the uses an outdated estimate tile.
This prehistoric whale, described in 2023, could have tipped the scales at an insane 750,000 pounds.
Which, as I mentioned earlier, is an outdated estimate. I can't call it ridiculous though, because that estimate actually happened.
That's nearly double the weight of today's heavyweight champ, the blue whale, Balaenoptera musculus.
As of 2025, the blue whale still does not have to cry in the corner,
which maxes out around 400,000 pounds.
I'm gonna be blunt about this. This is a cool intro, but it's extremely intrusive, and I want to continue reviewing these paleontology videos, so let's just continue on with nothing ever happened.
But if we're talking about length, things get a little more complicated. Officially, the blue whale still holds the record, stretching over 100 feet from nose to tail.
I think the longest animal to ever exist belongs to a sauropod. Probably the Supersaurus viviani. Even then, they're just slightly longer than the blue whale.
However, if we dive into the prehistoric past, some real contenders show up. The only problem? Most of what we know is based on incomplete fossils and some pretty good scientific guesses. One of the most intriguing candidates is Amphicoelius fragilimus,
which, as of 2025, does not exist and now belongs to the Marapunisaurus fragilimus, which unfortunately is not even close to being the longest. The Marapunisaurus now measured at a length of around 27 meters, which is definitely not the longest.
A massive dinosaur that might have reached a jaw-dropping 190 feet long.
190 feet equates to around 57.9 meters. Another outdated info. I still can't even call it ridiculous. Bro is using every single outdated info that he can find.
The catch? The only fossil ever found was uncovered back in the 19th century, and then mysteriously vanished. All we're left with are old drawings and notes. Without bones, it's hard to be sure about anything. Another prehistoric giant is the Argentinosaurus,
which, while the Argentinosaurus isn't the longest, that title belongs to the Supersaurus viviani. The Argentinosaurus huicalensis is the largest dinosaur to have ever existed, and quite possibly the largest terrestrial animal to have ever existed. Why Jurassic World game labeled the Argentinosaurus as a common creature is still beyond me. Guys, the Argentinosaurus, because the Argentinosaurus is the largest and we want to get players to hook up into our game, let's make the Argentinosaurus a common creature because we can.
A South American titan estimated to have stretched between 120 and 130 feet long.
Which is another outdated estimate. The Argentinosaurus is actually closer to around 33 to 34 meters in length. or as they say, 108 to under 112 feet.
And weighed around 100 tons.
This is another outdated estimate made in 1994.
Again, with no complete skeleton, these numbers are just educated guesses. In a similar league is Patagotitan majorum, another titanosaur from about 100 million years ago.
I'll leave this alone, but the Patagotitan actually lived around 101.62 million years ago, to be more specific.
With size estimates that some scientists believe might even be a bit over the top.
What do you mean over the top? Do you mean the 37-meter estimate in terms of length?
And the ocean wasn't short on giants either. A major underwater contender is the so-called lil-stock ichthyosaur,
which is an outdated way of calling it Ichthyotitan.
Discovered in the UK. These Triassic marine reptiles, remember, not actually dinosaurs.
Round of applause to this channel for correctly stating that the Ichthyotitan is not a dinosaur, but rather a marine reptile.
Might have reached over 85 feet long. This new species doesn't even have an official scientific name yet.
This video was made 3 days ago. I don't know what you're smoking, but this is April 2025. Okay, finally guys, let's pick out our bingo cards and then circle the makes a ridiculous statement tile next to the used and outdated estimate tile.
But if the estimates hold, it could have rivaled the blue whale in sheer size. Now, if you love a good legend, you'll be hooked on the story of the Triassic Kraken. In 2013, paleontologist Mark McMenamin suggested that weird patterns on fossils could be evidence of a giant squid-like creature.
Okay, so I searched this thing up, and it's just cryptozoology. Really? Ah, yes. What stuff should I incorporate into my video about the largest creatures to ever exist? How about adding a mythological creature that then we can just try and frame it as real?
Kind of like the mythical Kraken. According to him, this ancient monster not only snacked on ichthyosaurs, but even played with their bones.
By the way, this theory is now considered quote-unquote irrelevant and highly implausible, which I'm willing to buy because this is a 30-meter animal which is just impossible to exist in the Triassic. It's a 30-meter coeloid. It's probably called a colloid, but whatever.
Arranging them in strange patterns. It's a bold theory, based on a single fossil and a lot of imagination. As fascinating as the Triassic Kraken sounds, the scientific community remains highly skeptical.
We can just say that it doesn't exist. Period. Period. It just... I don't even know why someone could even dare to come up with this theory. No offense towards that guy.
With only one piece of evidence, it's still firmly in the fun but unlikely category.
More like in the impossible category, which is basically just the hall of shame at this point.
Whether walking on land, swimming through ancient oceans, or maybe rearranging bones for fun, Earth has been home to some truly massive creatures. And until we find more complete fossils to settle the debate, we'll just keep dreaming and marveling.
I don't think anyone would tell you to stop dreaming or imagining some crazy creatures that are just implausible in reality. Just take a look at movies, for instance. Look, Lizzie and Ralph, Rampage, George from Rampage, they are completely gigantic, which it's not plausible in real life. So is King Kong, so is Godzilla, and all that.
At the incredible giants of our planet's past.
Of course, there is another T-Rex segment here. A segment contains T-Rex. And actually, do we circle the title contains something like animals are glad or you're glad are extinct? It's the largest creatures to ever exist. So I'm giving a little bit of leeway here. Anyways, and we're also going to be circling it uses an outdated model tile above a segment contains T-Rex tile. Anyway, let's continue.
If you enjoyed this journey through the world of the biggest creatures ever, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any amazing content like this. And let me know in the comments, which of these giants impressed you the most? I'd love to hear your thoughts.
We can mute this as this is the end of our video. Let's look at how many tiles that we circled. As you can see here, we got 4 tiles, but no bingos. Quite unimpressive, I've gotta admit. This is just your average small channel paleontology slop. Anyways, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you all in the next one.